Hello, friends. Welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Welcome to an uncharacteristic Monday stream where we're going to be scraping the web. If you tuned in yesterday, we scraped the web. We're going to scrape the web some more today. Hello! Good morning. Good morning. Well, hello, friends, and welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Oh, hello, friends, and welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. We're gonna grow our coding skills one day at a time. We're not afraid to make mistakes or fall out of line. We're gonna break things down, build them back up. We're gonna learn lots of things. It's gonna be really fun. Well, hello, friends, and welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Oh, hello, friends, and welcome to Coding Garden with CJ. Welcome, everyone. Happy Monday. Let's write some code. Awesome. Thanks for being here, everybody. Okay, so a little bit of background. We are building a database of Japanese Pokemon cards. I'm a Pokemon card collector. I collect some Japanese Pokemon cards, and one of the hard things about collecting Japanese Pokemon cards is figuring out how much they're worth or looking them up, that kind of thing. So what we're doing and what we've done so far is we have written code first that scraped all of the Pokemon names and their corresponding katakana. And thank you, Watch the Max, for those bits. So we have this file here. We pulled this off of Bulbapedia, which is a Pokemon wiki. So we have this data. We have names in English, and then we have the names in the katakana. And then what we worked on yesterday was pulling all of the set and expansion information. So if you're not familiar with Pokemon cards, basically they release a new set or expansion every few months, and that set includes a certain number of Pokemon cards. But each set is different. The Pokemon repeat across expansions, but there are a lot of different expansions. So yesterday we wrote code that scraped this page. So this is every Japanese expansion, including the name, the set icon, and the set abbreviation and the release date. For every Japanese Pokemon, well, not every. It only goes back to the black and white era, which is still enough for now. If we want to go further back, we'll have to find another source of data. But so far, we scraped this, but we also scraped not only the English name, but the Japanese name as well. So if you look at that data in expansions, we have things like Matchless Fighters, and then we have the Japanese name. Okay, J-Love, what's up, buddy? Yeah, and we're doing this for OK J-Love. Shout out to OK J-Love. I realize, I don't know where you are in Australia, but it's like midnight at least where you are, or 1 a.m. And Funny Dude, thank you for the gifts. And Benjamin, thank you for that Prime resub. We'll get to all the alerts real quick. But yeah, shout out to OK J-Love. This was inspired by him. So he opens Japanese Pokemon cards on his Twitch channel and on his YouTube channel. So definitely check him out. The premier Japanese Pokemon card opener. Yeah. So definitely check him out. But yeah, he reached out to me and he was like, hey, so what I've explained so far is kind of just like the data that we're collecting. So far we have lists of names and their translation. Great. Then we have list of expansions and their translation and their set icon and their set code. So the set code is important for when we're actually searching for the cards. Okay, so that's step one. Now, all of this is going to tie together because we're going to build a site where you can search for these cards, but also see their prices across the web. And so specifically, and Julian, thanks for the bits. The first site that we're going to get prices from is Card Rush. And Jen Gao, thanks for that, for so much support. You guys are great. Yeah, this is live. Welcome, Investing Clarity. I am showing you JSON. Yeah, so if you're not familiar with this syntax, this is known as JSON, which is JavaScript Object Notation. And for right now, this data just exists as these flat JSON files. Eventually, we might put them in a database. I think the expansions will probably go into a database, but the Pokemon names will likely just stay as a JSON file. There shouldn't be a delay in the stream. There's probably like a 5 to 10 second delay depending on where you are in the world. But think about it like this. You have a UI, and you start typing in a Pokemon name, like Bulbasaur. And we can use this list of all the Pokemon to basically autocomplete, right? So as you start typing, we can suggest we suggest the Pokemon name based on this list. And what we'll do is we'll take the translation, and that's what we'll use to search on these Japanese websites. So this is Card Rush. It's completely in Japanese. I can't even... I don't really know what these things say. We could run this through Google Translate, but for the most part, they do list cards that are for sale. Yeah, I mean, we could technically autocomplete the katakana as well. So that's a thing. And Pablo, thanks for the bits. So hyped for all these live streams. I'm gonna have withdrawal symptoms. I'll read all of your messages really, really soon. Okay. Oh, thank you, Archivius. Too kind. You're too kind. Okay, so for example, this is a card. I don't even know what Pokemon this is, but I think this is from the latest set. But you can see in the listing that it has the Pokemon name right here. It has the rarity, it has the card number, and then it has the set. So it's from S6K. And if we go over to Limitless TCG, actually, they don't have S6K up yet. They only have Matchless Fighters. This is, what's it called? Jet Black Poltergeist? Something like that. Jet Black Spirit. Yeah, that's it. And if we look over here, so this is Shadow Rider Calyrex. I've literally never heard of this Pokemon. But for this website lists it for sale, and it's for 580 Japanese yen. And so the idea is, after we build up this database of sets, what we're going to do today is we're actually going to build up a database of all the cards. So for each of these sets, when you go into it, we can actually see all of the cards. So we're going to build up that database. And for each of those cards, we're going to have like price history. And so eventually we'll scrape the specific price. And Bob, thanks for the bits. Quick while he's in here, is Doc real or is he an AI? He's real. He's just a really smart guy. Yeah. So for example, we would search this website for the Pokemon name, the number, and the set. Hopefully we'll be able to find it, pull out the data, and then extract the price. And then our website will display that price and then also the conversions to other currencies. And then eventually we'll pull in other websites as well, because there's a lot of websites that sell Japanese Pokemon cards. So that's the plan. That's the goal. We're early days. We're trying to just get all the data that we need. Oh, and this is Celebi, a beautiful card. A beautiful card. But today we're going to be scraping the card sets. And I was just showing an example of one of the images that we're going to be pulling in. But let's thank everybody. Welcome in, everybody. Lots of people here. What's up, Leichy? Thanks for being here. It has been a while, and thanks for being here. Okay, what has happened? Django with that Prime sub. Thank you very much. Benji Boop with that 2-month resub says, Yo, CJ, how have you been? I almost finished my boot camp. Any ideas of something cool to make for my final project? It's going to be a full stack app. It's hard to say. What are you interested in? I would say try to I'm guessing you were likely something else before you were a coder. So try to reach from that experience. Try to build something that you would have wanted before you started coding, like something like that. Also, if you post in our Discord, maybe we can give you some ideas. And Fob, thank you for that 6-month resub. Says love your streams. Benjamin with that 7-month resub. Thanks for that. Much appreciated. What else we got? Watch the Max with 100 bits, Julian with 100 bits, Pablo with the 25 bits. So hyped for all these live streams. Gonna have withdrawal symptoms if you ever come back to 1 week schedule. I'm trying to do them more often. The thing is, I'm eating healthier. I'm getting better sleep. I can wake up with enough energy to stream before work, because I do have to go to work in like roughly an hour. But Bob said, while he isn't here, is Doc real or is he an AI? If you can't talk, cough once for real, cough twice for AI. As if you've watched the stream enough, you've probably seen Doc. He's one of the mods here, but he is extremely smart, and he always has good ideas, and he's pretty funny too, but he's great. And Backbreaker, thanks for that. 500 bits! 500 bits! And Rowanev, thanks for that Prime sub. Very much appreciated. Is this not updating? Oh no, I shouldn't have done that. Because now it's the old events. I think I can look in the activity monitor. I missed some other things too. Okay. We're gonna get there. I appreciate you all a ton. I think we said hey to Benji Boop. Thank you, Fob. Watch the Max. Funny Dude with the 5 gifted. Thank you, Funny Dude, for that support. Backbreaker with another 5 gifted. Thank you very much. Benjamin with the 7-month resub. Julian with the 100 bits. Django with the Prime. Pablo with the 25 bits. Arkevius with the 5-month resub. Bob with the 200 bits. Backbreaker with the 500 bits. And the 5 gifted. That's too much support. That's too much support. I appreciate you all, though. And what's up, Alka? How you doing? Have you gone to sleep yet? Or you're... It's nighttime for Alka. I mean, it's not really nighttime, but it's almost his bedtime. Probably. Okay. Let's write some code, because we actually don't have much time. Usually I say hi to everybody. Usually I show you how all the stuff on my screen works, but we'll start with this. Everyone in the chat, type !, drop me. That will drop your avatar from the sky, like that. And if it lands in the garden, you'll get your name on the screen. That's going to be a teeny tiny drop. Little bitty coding garden. Little bitty coding garden. Nice. Look at all your smiling faces. Wait, isn't that Doc? Doc's here. And thank you, Dynamic Voyage, for the bits. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, great work. Smelvis Paisley. Great drop. And Check Marcus. Great drop. And we've got Tzeek33 and Backbreaker. And Colorado Mac. Great drops, everyone. You're doing good. I think there were missing events because we got a Prime sub, and Bronco, thanks for that Prime sub. We got a Prime sub from, was it Django? Let's see. No, Django is on there. And then Prime sub from Bronco. Maybe not. Maybe I was looking at old events. Something happened, an event popped up in the overlay, and I felt like I didn't see it immediately. Maybe it was Haiku? Rowanev, thanks for the 99 bits. You all are too kind. Way too kind. We're at a level 4. I think it's been a while since we got to like a level 4 hype train. Okay, yeah, you all are great. Check out these commands. You can customize your name in my overlay. You can also set your pronouns in the overlay, so I know what you prefer. And you can also set your status, which appears on every message. So I'm going to set my status to be scrape the web with code. Cool. And once you set your status, it appears below all your messages just like that. We all need to chip in so CJ can quit his job and become a full-time streamer. And okay, J Love, thank you for that gift. You took us over the edge. We're now on a level 5. Wow. Oh, you. What's so cool? All right. We got to write some code. So here's what we're gonna do. Like I mentioned, so far we already have the list of all of the expansions. Now what we want to do is we want to grab all of the cards from each of the expansions. And so if you take a look at, for example, Matchless Fighters. When you go into the page, it has the image of the Pokemon, Pokemon name, type, HP, and then all of the other information here. I think, and Refactorer, thank you for the bits. Yeah, it's a great community here. I appreciate you all. Can we just get some hearts in the chat? What a way to start a week. I appreciate you all. But yeah, I think for our database, all we really need is the Pokemon name. Eventually, we could probably pull in all of the card information, like type and attacks and weakness and resistance and stuff like that. But for now, I think we just need the Pokemon name. So that's where we're going to go from here. Now, if you're totally new to web scraping, basically what this means is we are going to write code that will programmatically retrieve this web page and then extract out the data. So this web page is at this URL. If you go to this URL, you're going to see the same thing I'm seeing, but I'm going to write code that makes a request to that URL. And you can see kind of the format here. So right here, this S5A, that's the set code. And if you look back to the data that we already got for the expansions, each one of these has a set code. So we'll be able to pass in the set code to construct the URL and then get the data. So let's make a new file. We're making a scraper for get Pokemon cards for expansion. And Huntress, thank you very much for that Prime sub. That's a pretty long name. I think it's fine though. Okay, and yeah, this is JavaScript. Yeah, so I'm using node.js. All of this code will run not in the web browser though. This will run on a server somewhere. And what we've thought about so far is like the data that we have will very likely just live statically somewhere. I think the cards we will put into a database to like make it searchable. Because I think eventually the website will have is you search for a card. We pull all of the cards from our database and show like what set they're in. And then for any given card, you can click on it and then we'll pull the prices for that specific card, at least for now. I think eventually we can create background tasks that like run once every few hours and go out to all these websites and pull the prices. But for now, we're going to just do it on an on-demand basis. So that way we're not spamming those websites with requests. But yeah, so we need a function. Get Pokemon cards for expansion. And then we take in the expansion code. So this is just going to be a string like S5A or whatever other one, and we'll construct the URL. So the URL to make the request to is this, but instead of S5A, we just throw in the expansion code right there. And this needs to be a template string, so that way we can pull in the expansion code. So we'll dynamically create the URL based on the expansion that we're scraping, and then we can do the scraping. So we're using this library called Axios, which is a HTTP requests library. What font size do I use? I make it really big, so when I'm streaming, so it's easier for people to read the code, my font's really big. At work, I probably look at the code about like that, which is still pretty big for some people. I've just gotten used to looking at it so big. But I don't know the size. I think like it's a minimum of 24. Okay, Axios. This lets us make requests. So for those of you new to this kind of stuff, when you type a URL into your web browser, and whenever you hit enter, that is making an HTTP GET request. So this is actually requesting that web page from a server. Oh, welcome back, Majestica. Yeah, you've been on a roll. Yeah, welcome back. But that makes an HTTP GET request for that page. It actually gets back the HTML of the page. So this is actually what the browser is getting back, and then it takes this codes and turns it into a nice usable website. But what we're going to do is we're just going to get this source code here that with the code that we're about to write. So if I say axios.get and then pass in that URL, that's going to make a GET request to retrieve the contents of that page. So we'll extract it out. And doing things through the tubes of the internet is not instant, right? You try to go to a website and it takes a second. So that's why we need to await this. And we're going to make this an async method. So this says, go get that thing, and I'll wait for you to do that. And then when you're done, we should have some HTML. So what I'll do is after this page is requested, we'll just log out the HTML and make sure that at least that worked. And then we'll start extracting out the data. Yeah, and thank you all for that hype train. Very much appreciated. Yeah. Jessica, you're coding already? It's only 30 minutes into the stream. Yeah, I mean, with these early morning streams, I have to work soon, so we skipped the hellos and we're just getting right into the code. Funny dude! Thanks for the bits. Aw, you're too kind. Who says you're always so chill, CJ? Thanks. You're welcome. You're very welcome. I'm glad I could spread the chill. I was going to say if Axios allows async. It does, yeah. What if the page is being rendered client-side? Then this likely won't work. But we've already tested this. But basically, when we request the source of the web page, the data is embedded in it. So if I search this page for Weedle or Beetle, you can see that in the source code, it's actually there. So this code that I just wrote is going to get this. And then I can write code to specifically extract out like card text name. But we know for sure that this website is server-side rendered so that we can do that. If you come across a website that isn't server-side rendered, then there's very likely an undocumented API that you could tap into, but this website does not have one. Yeah. And I'm sorry if I missed your messages. There's lots of people here, but we're doing our best. And what's up, me? Excited to continue the parser. Yes. Okay, so we're on our way. So here's what I need to do. I need to make this function available outside of this file. So we're going to export it. And now from another file, I can invoke this function, and I can pass in the expansion that I want to get. So we'll do that in the scraper. This is kind of just like scrap code for now that we're using to actually run the code that we're writing, but eventually we'll write code that's a background task that will scrape the expansions, scrape the sets if we need to. I mean, the nice thing about this set data is it doesn't change. Like once a set is released, we know the cards that are in it. The things that do change are the prices, and so that'll have to be a lot more dynamic. But regardless, we're going to pull in that function we just wrote, get Pokemon cards for expansion. And that's in our scrapers, and then a file called get Pokemon cards for expansion. So the function that I wrote over here, we now have access to in this file, and we can invoke it. So if I call this with, for example, S5A, this should make the request to the page that has S5A in it, and then we'll get back the HTML. So let's try it. Let's give it a try. So if we run source/scrape, we should see, there it is, just a bunch of HTML logged to the console. So this is the actual contents of the web page, and what we want to do now is extract out the Pokemans. And actually, yeah, so order by set number. We're looking at it in Japanese. We want to see all results. I just want to make sure that the URL that I'm requesting actually gives us back the data that we want. Yeah, so you can see how when I started toggling these dropdowns, the URL changed. And now this says show all, display full, sort by set, and include all. So if you just make a request to the base URL, I think let's see, we could open up a private tab and see what we get by default. Yeah, so by default, you just get the card images. But we want the full information so we can grab the name. So I need to make sure that I'm actually scraping this URL and not the other one. So let's put that, this part here is known as the query string. We need to tack this on to the end like that. Cool. Let's catch up really quick and then we'll keep writing code. Do you know when you do const variable equals, oh, how do I know when I can do that? Yes. Let's talk about destructuring. What else? Hello, Prawin. Welcome. What if the developer disables right-click on their site and can't access developer tools? You can access developer tools without right-clicking. I'm on a Mac, but if you click here and then go to, what is it? Tools, web developer tools, that'll open them up and you don't have to right click. There's also a keyboard shortcut on a Mac. It's Command-Shift-I or Command-Option-I. Yeah, Command-Option-I or Command-Option-J. Yeah, usually if they disable right click, there's plenty of ways around it. Didn't I add some specific headers last time when I was doing scraping stuff? Yeah, so a few streams ago, we scraped prices from Amazon. And Amazon knows that people are trying to scrape their website and they maybe don't like it. So whenever you're making a request to them, you need to make sure that your request appears like it's coming from just a regular plain old user. This website could care less. They don't care where the requests are coming from, so I'm not adding any extra headers. But if the website didn't return the right data or it started complaining, I would have to add headers so that the request replicates what's happening in the browser. Yeah. Pokemons. How to know if a website is client side rendered or server side rendered? So you can look at the source of the web page. So I think if you right-click, do you have the option to view source? Let's see, right-click, yeah, view page source. And this shows you what their server responds with when a request is made. And if you search for something in the page, like if I search the source code for this, this. If I search for this and I find it, then that tells me that it is very likely server-side rendered, or it's already just static data in HTML. If you can't find those items on the page, then that means there's probably JavaScript that's dynamically requesting that information when the page loads, which means it's not embedded here, which means we can't scrape it that way. But we could watch the network traffic and figure out where that data is coming from. This is actually a great question. Do Japanese coders use ifs and for and so on, or do they code in other char sets? The majority of programming in the world is actually English, which is a bit of a problem. There are some programming languages that were written to work for people in other languages. I actually don't know them off the top of my head, but the majority of programming languages were created by English speakers. And that just means that everyone else in the world has to speak a little bit of English to be able to program. But for example, if you look at the that Card Rush website, I actually found this really interesting. So I think if you just search, let's see if we can do a blank search. Yeah, we can do a blank search. But check this out. I can't read these drop downs. I don't know what they mean. But if I change them, the URL actually updates. So let's see what changes when I change this. Yeah, this is the order. And you can see that the URL is actually in English, even though this is in Japanese. So that's order descending. This is order by featured. This one is order by ascending. So even though the site is in Japanese, their backend actually uses English terminology even for the sorting. And if we were to look to see if there's any JavaScript on the page, like this is the Google Analytics JavaScript, but if there's any custom JavaScript, let's see. Like this. So this is just your regular plain old JavaScript, but you can see that they're setting up some variables with like Japanese characters. But yeah, the answer is for the majority of programming languages, other people in the world have to learn English. Yeah. Yeah, we got some keyboard shortcuts. Oh yeah. So I'll explain that. Yeah. So basically, I mean, it's very similar with destructuring because, well, require, when you use the curly braces with require, it actually is destructuring. When you use curly braces with imports, it's a little bit different. I'm pretty sure those are like named imports rather than destructuring, but it's kind of the same. Yeah. Ideally, if you're scraping, you should provide user agents so the website can make informed decisions about its traffic. Yeah. So we talked about this yesterday, but most websites include this thing called robots.txt, and this will typically tell you what you're not allowed to programmatically access. Now, that doesn't technically stop you from programmatically accessing it. This is kind of just like a please don't do this. And this file is usually used by search engines. So search engines will pull up this file and say, oh, I'm not allowed to index the WP admin folder. So the search engine won't even look in there. But as you can see here, limitless TCG doesn't say we can't use robots to look at those specific pages. But what Leiji is mentioning is we should include a user agent, which every request you make has a user agent. So if we look at the requests when this page loads, my browser is sending this user agent string right here. Well, you can't see it right here, which says I am using Mozilla 5.0 on a Macintosh, version 89 with the Gecko engine, Firefox 89. So every request you make, your browser automatically includes this so that the server knows what kind of device that request is coming from. Axios actually, I believe, sets its own user agent. So right now, their server is seeing my requests is just from Axios. But we could technically set it to be like a Mac on Firefox. Yeah. Oh, what's up, ETH Coding? The price. They changed the sort of price high to low. The price. Oh yeah. Or what were you talking about the drop downs in Skinny Man? Thanks for that Prime sub. But yeah, I'm a few minutes behind on chat. Change category to learning Japanese. Yeah, no, that's totally true. So, oh yeah, you can see it here. That the URLs do support all Unicode characters. So there actually is some Japanese characters here. I'm sorry if I'm using the terminology wrong. I guess this is technically kanji, right? There's kana and there's kanji. Kanji are like the words. Kana are the syllable pronunciations, I guess. I'm showing my Japanese ignorance. But yeah, you can see that actually works in the URL, but the coders of the website didn't implement it as that. They just used English words. Yeah. As a non-native English speaker, writing code in English helps me stay organized. Yeah, I mean, but I think it's also a barrier to entry. So for people that don't speak English and they want to learn to code, you kind of have to learn a little bit of English first. But that is that like most, a lot of countries are teaching people English in school, but I don't know. Should English be the global language? I don't know. Oh, Google has a humans.txt? That's pretty funny. Let's check it out. Google is built by a large team of engineers, designers, researchers, robots, and others in so many different sites across the globe. It is updated continuously and built with more tools and technologies that we can shake a stick at. Cool. Interesting. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're doing multiple days of web scraping. We got a lot of code to write. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna skip past most of these. Yeah, I'm not going to go into this right now, but if you check out the frequently asked questions, I talk about exclamation mark FAQ. I talk about why I like Mac. You build this Instagram feed. I'm not sure. If you post in the Discord, somebody might be able to help you out. Oh, what's up? We got some OKJ Love, OKJ Love subs in here. Welcome, 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 welcome. Yeah, we've written one line of code in 15 minutes. We definitely have to get writing some code because I have to go pretty soon. I have to make a web page for COVID relief with Django database. Can you suggest any template? I haven't really worked with Python much, so I don't have any suggestions there. All right, let's write some code. We're going into focus. We got to focus. And thank you, Shirkum, for that focus mode. Here we go. Okay, so at this point, I will first I'll talk about what's happening actually like right here. So what was asked in the chat is sometimes you see me import something, and then instead of just declaring the variable, we actually destructure what's coming back from this. Yeah, so actually we could do this, and that would pull out the property default from it. But the answer to the question was basically with require in module.exports, this is literally giving you back an object. So whenever you see curly braces on the left-hand side, it's destructuring that object that got imported in. That's really all that's happening. Where it gets a little bit more interesting is with imports. If you do import Axios from Axios, the actual standard for importing and exporting modules has this thing called named exports. So if this thing exports a thing with the name default, that is actually importing that one specific named thing. This isn't necessarily destructuring. Now, in some environments, it is, because the imports and exports were implemented before the module spec was finalized. But for the most part, you can think about this like destructuring, but just know that sometimes it won't work that way if there is no named export. Like if a module exports an object, you actually have to import it first and then destructure it. But regardless, let's scrape this. So we have successfully made a request for the contents of this web page. Now let's look at the source of the web page to figure out how we're going to extract this out. So this is pulling the set info. We already have the set name and icon, so we don't really need that. We can see that there are these elements called card page main, and each one of these, I think, is an actual card. Yeah, so each of the cards is card page main. And so what we'll do is we'll select all of the card page main in the data that we just got back, and that should give us all of the cards. For that, we're going to use this thing called Cheerio. So Cheerio is like jQuery for the server side. And basically what we can do is we can load that HTML we just got into this library, and then it gives us a jQuery-like syntax where we can extract out the things that we want. So for example, if I want to grab all of the card page main, I can say, hey Cheerio, grab every element that has the class card page main. And what I'll do now is just log the length. And we should see the number 70 because there are 70 cards on the page. Let's see. 70. Great work, everyone. All right. Next step is we need all of the data inside of those cards. So that is a collection of 70 elements on the page. Ship it. Yeah, we're done. But what we want to do now is we want to look at each one and extract out the individual data. So we can use this each method. We get back the index and the element itself. So this is going to be, the element is going to be the actual div of the element. We'll have an array of cards that starts off as empty. So arrays are like lists. So this is an empty list. And then when we're all done, we'll return that list of cards. But now we have each element. Let's extract some stuff out. So yesterday, someone asked the question, why do I create variables with $? So right, you can see that I'm creating this variable $sign element. This is just convention. So because this variable has a jQuery collection stored inside of it, or a Cheerio collection stored inside of it, I just put a $sign on it so that I know that I can use jQuery methods on this element. And by jQuery methods, I mean like .text or .find or different things like that. And I don't have to put a $sign in front of it. Florin! It's been a while, bud. How's it going? Yeah, shout out to Florin. Click that link, drop a follow. Why use $sign when you can use this Unicode character? I'm gonna do it. Is this actually a valid variable name? Maybe not. It might not have come across in the Twitch chat. Okay, regardless. So that's the only reason I'm naming that variable with the $sign is just convention. I don't have to call it that, but I am going to. Okay, so we have each element. Let's say we first want to grab the image. And so we can see. Yeah, and so here's the tricky thing. When I hover over this element, the link, so if I open this link in a new tab, the link is to the high quality image. Like this is the highest quality image that Limitless TCG provides. But the image itself is actually the lower quality one. So I actually want to extract out this anchor tag and then grab that href attribute. So here's what we'll do. In the code, I need to say, we take the element, we need to find the element inside of it that has the class card image, and then within that, we want to find the anchor tag, and then within that, we're going to grab the href attribute. And that should give us the high quality image. Let's put it in a variable called image URL, and then we're just going to put an object in here into our cards array. And Timon, thanks for that resub. Currently working on a what login? I'll check in a second. Remind me to check in a second. All right. So what this should do is for every card on the page, we're going to extract out that card image, put it into the array, and that at the end of it all, we should have a big ol' array of 70 cards. So let's do this. We do the scrape, and then we console.log it. So now when I run the code, if we've done everything right, we should see 70 cards and 70 images. Look at that. Yeah, and let's just pick one. So like this one. This is card number 65. And if we put it here, we get... Actually, this is a newer set. I'm not familiar with the cards. I have no idea what this is. But it looks cool. Let's scrape a set that I do know so I can at least say what the cards are. Let's go for Amazing Volt Tackle, which is like the Japanese equivalent to Vivid Voltage. So this is S4. And what's nice about the code we wrote is all I have to do is replace this with S4. And if everything is the same, we should get back a different list of cards. Let's see. Let's try in. Cool, yeah, so these are higher card numbers. So this is definitely a different set. We can also see how they construct their URLs because their image URLs include the set ID. But if we go here, this is Nessa. Nice, cool. So that's working. The next thing we want, though, is the Pokemon name. So if we look in the elements, so this has a class of card text name. That's all we want. It's going to be as easy as that. So we can right here, we can say the name is element.find the element with the card text name class, grab the text, and then I usually just throw trim on there. So if there's any extra white space on the edges, trim will remove that. And now we should have the names and the URLs. Let's go. Nice. I can't read these, but which one was Nessa? Number 96. So if we look in here, number 96, this is how you say Nessa in Japanese. Why are you doing this? Because I feel like it. No, I'm just kidding. Shout out again to OKJLove. So OKJLove opens Japanese Pokemon cards on his stream and on his YouTube channel. And there's not really a good resource out there for looking up Japanese Pokemon card prices. And so we're building up a database of Japanese Pokemon cards, and then eventually we'll be pulling in prices from various websites that list Japanese Pokemon cards. So that's why we're doing this. No, he's not paying me. This is something I'm interested in, and it's something that any Japanese Pokemon card collector could benefit from. So that's why I'm doing it. For free! It's not hosted anywhere yet. What's up, Milky Dev? Right now, it's all just data. It's all data. Okay, so we have the Pokemon name, or trainer name, card name, right? Now, I also want the number. I want the number of the card, because that's going to help us out. So this card, and this is usually how you can identify cards. So this is card 001 out of 100, and I want to grab that. And I think the only way to do it is this element right here. Oh, actually, we have this element. Yeah, so that says number 1, number 2. Let's see, like right here. Does this have a specific class? This has prints current set details. Let's see if this will work. So to grab the card number, we need to reach into that element and then find the element with the class prints current set details. Grab the text of it, trim it just like we did before. But as you saw, the number element also has the rarity. We don't want that. We just want the number that comes after the pound, the octathorpe, the hashtag. Yeah. Oh, nice, Nakuda. Good to hear. Third year IT. But yeah, hopefully this site will be useful. It's early days though. Like I said, right now it's just data. Eventually we'll build a site on top of this data. But yeah, so I think I'll use a regular expression. I think I'll have to use a regular expression. The tricky part is not all card numbers are numbers. So for example, if we look at the promo cards, their numbers are usually like SP, S-P. Yeah, and look, the site's broken. It shows it as Nan. I didn't know the site was broken. And this is what we would run into if we assumed that the card numbers were always numbers. So Nan is not a number. Nan 2, Nan 3, Nan 1. Dang. Let's look at the element just to see if there's any other things in that element that would tell us the card number. Because if not, that's really unfortunate. We might have to go with like Pokelector to get the initial data. Yeah, it's true. Type of not a number actually is number. Does the image URL have... Oh, you're totally right. Oh, look at this. The image URL is Nan. But yeah, you're totally right. The image URL actually does have the number in it, so we technically could extract it from there. But these are stored as Nan. Huh. All right. Any Japanese Pokemon collectors that are here, what are some recent sets where it's likely just promotional sets or like the VMAX special set. So what are some sets where the card numbers are not numbers? Like what comes to mind for English sets are like Shining Fates or Hidden Fates because they have the Shiny Volt with like the SV prefix. And so, yeah, this set just has the numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4. There's four cards in this set. Maybe Shiny Star V, because Shiny Star V is similar to Shining Fates. But no, okay, so for the base set, they have numbers, but then when we get into the shinies... Oh, technically the shinies are just secrets, but they're still numbered. Okay. Honestly, we are just going to extract out the text that follows the pound sign here, right here. That's all we're going to do. And then we'll have to go, later on, we'll figure out the edge cases. So any of the sets that don't have numbered cards, we'll have to go and figure that out later. But for now, we're just going to write a regular expression. Here we go. So here's our regular expression. So we can say we want to match. So the string should start with a pound sign. So we want to match this. Starts with a pound sign. And then anything was one or more characters after the pound sign, we want to grab, followed by some white space. And that right there should be the number. So let's call this set details. And then the number is if we match it and then get the first matching. It's a greedy. We should get the first matching group right there. I guess I don't want it to be greedy. Like stop at the first white space. Should I put a question mark there or a question mark there? I don't know. Let's see if this works. And so match should return an array of matches or null. And so I'm going to say if you didn't find any matches, it'll be an empty array. And Ludwigsburg, thank you very much for that Prime sub. 0 or more characters non-greedy, I think, because we want to stop at the first space. So, like that? And 0 or more spaces? I guess? I don't know. But for that whole thing, we want to grab the first matching group, because this is the first matching group. Let's see if I have written that regular expression right. We didn't. We did not do it. So right now we're including the whole thing. Yeah, well, I don't want to split on spaces because sometimes there is no rarity. Sometimes it's just the number. I mean, we could hard code it, right? We could say followed by that. And that should just grab the number if we hard code it like that. Yeah. And so that technically works, but I don't think it's going to work for all things. We could try doing this and then like this. Let's see. Nice. That was it. Okay, so this says grab all characters non-greedily and stop at the very first space you see. Okay, I'm not going to go into what we just did there, but if you're curious, this is regular expressions. And so this is built into most programming languages. It's like a language within a language. And basically it allows you to write syntax that like extracts out or searches for specific patterns in text. And that's what we just did there. But basically, we wrote a pattern matcher that pulls off the number from text that looks like this. Should be good enough. I think the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prefix it or pad it with zeros. Maybe I won't do that. Should be fine. Let's try it with another set though. Starter set v grass. Let's look at this one. These are like I think decks that came out, right? Yeah, like this one is Nan. Nan 1. But then, yeah, then you have 1 out of 23. Cool. So let's pass in SAG as the set. Could also write capital S star. See if that still works. For numbers, yes. For numbers, you would use /d, which is digit. But I don't know if they're always going to be numbers, which is why I did that. That stopped after the first digit. Oh, you're saying /s all non-white space characters. No. We're going to go back to what I had. Because that seemed to work. Oh, we got a raid? Did I miss it? Oh, welcome, raiders. Sorry. Let me see. Who are you? Oh, Visual Studio. Thanks for that raid. Welcome, friends. Welcome in. Yeah, good morning, C# Fritz. Shout out to Mr. Fritz, the fearless leader of our Live Coders team. Good to see you, too. Yeah, welcome, friends. We're doing some web scraping, and we're doing it with JavaScript. But we're using Visual Studio Code, so that's relevant. Yeah, imagine your IDE raids you. That's really funny. But yeah, I'm using Visual Studio Code. And right now, we were just writing a regular expression. It seems to work, but let me give you a quick background on what we're doing. So I collect Pokemon cards. I collect Japanese Pokemon cards as well. So, and there aren't good resources out there for finding prices of Japanese Pokemon cards. So we're building up a database. The first thing we did a few days ago was we scraped Pokemon names, including their katakana. So this is the Japanese version of those Pokemon names. Because if I'm searching a Japanese website for Pokemon card prices, like Card Rush is one of the popular ones, then if I search for like Charizard, I'm going to get 0 results because this site is in Japanese. So the first step to helping people is like an easy way of translating. So if I find the translation of Charizard, if I were to plug this into the site, we should get back some Charizard cards. And we do, right? So that's one thing that we did. The other thing is we scraped all of the different expansions. So cards are grouped into sets. And so now we have a list of all the sets. So the English name, the Japanese name. So for example, if we search for this, we should find any cards from Matchless Fighters. Or in this case, they're just listing out the actual booster boxes of Matchless Fighters. So there's that. And then we also have the set code. And what we're working on right now is getting all of the cards for a given set. And we're scraping from this website, Limitless TCG. And so Limitless TCG doesn't provide an API. We're basically writing code that requests the HTML and then picks out the pieces that we need. And so what we've done is we have this function, get Pokemon cards for expansion. We pass in the expansion, and then we get back all the cards. So I was going to try with this expansion that has the abbreviation SAG. Because what we were just working on was extracting out the card number. And unfortunately, some of these sets have a card number of nan. Yeah, like this one, our regular expression did not work for this specific set. But yeah. And C# Fritz is saying, we spent today working in Visual Studio Code on a MacBook Air. Nice. I'm actually doing that at work. So at work, I'm working on a ASP.NET Core project. And it's kind of insane what you can do these days, because I have Microsoft SQL Server running in a Docker container, and I have .NET just running my code right on my Mac. It's pretty crazy. Thanks for all those redemptions. I'm honestly just going to give you your points back because I have to go pretty soon. So we're going to keep writing code. Pablo has a regular expression for us. So this, check if it matches. If it doesn't match, just means there's not a space. Oh, okay. Well, that's why in my regular expression, I wanted, I guess, this 0 or more spaces because there may not be a space. Yeah. Yeah, but unfortunately, I think this is chopping off the last of the numbers. This is like this only grabbing the first one. That did it. That did it. Yeah, so this card number is nan, which is unfortunate. But technically, the URL actually includes nan as well. But this is working because we have card number 1, card number 2, card number 3, card number 4, 5, 6, 7, like that. What I said above from recent online, I can't verify it, but it looks okay. It would work. Oh, if you go to the display classic or display list URL, it has the number in an individual. Oh, thank you. Let's do that. So here. So right now we're displaying full. So we're getting all of the information, but what they're saying is if I do display classic. Yeah, so this should give us that in an individual element. If we inspect this. And Kuzi, thanks for that 13-month resub. That's a crazy amount of support. Very much appreciated. Thanks for being here. So that is technically its own element. We would have to pull off the set code, which is not hard to do. What else could we possibly do? We could do display as list. Let's do, honestly, let's just do display as list. Though if we display as list, we're not going to get the URL, but will we, the image URL, but could we construct the image URL? Yeah, the tricky part here is like the expansion name. And no worries, Norchess. You can watch the VOD. Study, and good luck on the test. But the expansion name here has different casing, like SAG. And I mean, I guess technically we could extract out the expansion name from the page itself. So that way, yeah, we could grab the alt and then we could use that to construct the URL. Okay, display full has the number and print current set details. Let's see. Yeah, so the main reason I'm doing full is so that way we can get the high quality image URLs without having to construct the URLs ourselves. But what you're telling me is if we go to print current set details. Yeah, I mean that's the element that we're parsing right now. But the issue is, yeah, that's what we're parsing. But the issue is it includes in some other sets it includes more than just the number. And for whatever reason, some of the cards are labeled as nan. It's probably not a good idea to rely on the image URLs, always using this. Exactly. That's why I kind of want to extract them out from here. I don't really want to make 2 requests. Let's see, do these elements include images? All right. This is the point in the stream where we just start pasting code in. I mean, my regular expression works, okay? I have a working regular expression. But we're going to try this one that Doc sent. I think he said this multiple times. I've just been busy. Okay, so what this selector does is give me all non-white space characters until we get to a white space. And I don't want to use /d because then it wouldn't get nan. And technically, like, nan is the card number. Okay, this works. This appears to work. I'm okay with it. I think we're going to leave it there. I think this is totally fine. The Primogen, what's up, friend? Have I applied to regex-licenses.org? This better not go into production. Hey, it works well enough for me. Yeah, I don't know. But check out the Primogen. Drop that link. Click that link. Drop a follow. That's actually really fun. I'll pull that up. If you all haven't seen this, like, do you have a license to write your regular expression? Oh, wait, is that... what's the website? regexlicensing.org. Oh, no! They got to re-update their SSL certificate. Do they have a GitHub repo? Can we open an issue? Licensing the regular expression because you shouldn't be adding a regular expression to a code base without a license. Yeah, great. But yeah, I am well aware that this could break at any time. And actually that goes to, I mean, for pretty much any web scraping you're doing, it could break at any time because it's very dependent on the page structure, right? I'm dependent on these elements with these classes existing. And if they ever change the page structure, my scraper will break. But we mentioned this earlier, the data that I'm scraping is mostly static. It only changes like once every month or two for the card information. So this should be fine. It should be fine. Open an issue for applying to tlslicense.org. Why am I not using Vim? The Primogen is watching. I'm efficient enough in my VS Code, I would say. Okay. I think this is pretty good. I think one of the last things we'll do, because I have to go in about 10 minutes, is we will generate JSON files for every single expansion. Every single expansion, right? Because we've already scraped all of the expansions like this. And we can write code that will create a JSON file for every single one. And we'll do it nicely. We'll wait between requests because we are sending requests to their server. And Unloved Slug, thank you very much for that sub. I've tried Vim. I know how to exit Vim. I know how to go into insert mode. Okay. One thing I'm thinking about is the expansion code should be 2 lowercase whenever we make this here. And I mean, I think this is all we need as in terms of card information. So we have the name, the number, and the image URL. Because we already know what set this will be in, we can use the set and the number and the name to search the website. But yeah, so if the page structure changes, you'd stop receiving data, but you're storing what you got as JSON. Exactly. So I'm kind of like caching it, and then eventually I'll write code that like will run once or twice a month. And if it fails, it won't overwrite these files, or it won't update the database. That's my plan anyways. Yeah, no, definitely. If you are interested in Vim at all, you should definitely give the Primogen a follow. He's always showing some really cool stuff with it. Use the best tool for the job. Yeah, I just prefer VS Code. That's all. Okay, let's do it. So in our runner over here, what we can do is we can get all of the expansions, and then after we've gotten all of the expansions for each one, we can request the cards and then write that to a file. I think one thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and add the file writing to the specific scraper that's getting the cards. So right here, this is going to be cards, and we'll bring in fs so that we can write some JSON files to the file system. Cool. So the name of the file will actually just be data/expansion name _ cards, like that. Like this. And so now when we make this request, like if I were to make this request right now, I log it to the console, but now in our data folder, we actually have a file which has all of that data inside of it. And Percelsior, thanks for that resub. Happy to catch you live after a long time. Yeah, thanks for being here. There is write file sync. Why do I wait? Because write file sync is blocking. And if I were to do write file sync right here, it would totally block the thread. Basically, with I'm using the promises namespace and I'm awaiting it, so that way the file writing will happen in a background thread, and then whenever it's done, the execution of this function will resume. So that's why I'm using that. Can I do that? Can I do fs/? Oh, look at me! Look at this! And then I don't got to destructure. Does it work? Why await it at all? Write it in parallel. Stop it, Doc. Okay, so that's awesome. So each time I run this function, it's going to automatically write it to the file system. Now all we have to do is do it for every expansion. So we could run our function to rescrape the expansions, but I'm just going to require in this file because this already has all of the expansions. We did this scraping yesterday. So I'm just going to bring this file in, and then for every line, use that code to make the request to get the cards. Okay. Here we go. So these are going to be the expansions. We can just require in go up a directory, go into data, and grab expansions.json. So this will actually bring in that array of expansions, and then we can do something like this. So we're going to await. Okay, we're gonna do a waterfall. Well, actually, you don't even need to await it. We're gonna do basically a waterfall of promises. So I want to request the expansions, but I only want to request them one at a time, right? Because I don't want to spam their server with like 100 requests instantly. So I'm gonna make one request every 2 seconds, and for that, we're gonna do it like this. So promise expansions is an array. For every value, we get the expansion. Our accumulator is actually a promise. So our accumulator starts off as like promise.resolve. So this is an immediately resolved promise. But inside of here, we can await the previous promise. So basically, each expansion is going to return a promise, and we're going to await the previous one. So this should only do these things one at a time. And so I can say get Pokemon cards for expansion. We can pass in expansion.code. And so actually we'll just return this because that returns a promise. Yeah. And we should actually do this. So we should wait 2 seconds before making the request. So I'm going to await a new promise that will not resolve until 2 seconds. So we'll set this little timeout to resolve after 2 seconds. And what should happen is we'll get one expansion, wait 2 seconds, get the next expansion, wait 2 seconds, get the next expansion. And we'll just do some debugging here, or like logging so we know what's happening. So we'll say getting expansion that, and actually let's do this. And we'll say got cards.length cards for expansion.code. All right, this is it. Moment of truth. We are going to scrape these things one at a time. Go. Wait 2 seconds. It's going to wait 2 seconds. Okay, getting expansion S5A. Got 70 cards. Beautiful. Getting expansions S5I. Got 81 cards. Yeah. And so it's interesting to note I'm not returning anything here, but an async function returns a promise. So technically, I'm returning a promise that the next one can await. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm calling it. I think promise.waterfall is a thing in like Bluebird. So Bluebird is a custom implementation of promises. And I think they have promise.waterfall. But it basically does this, because if you use promise.all, that will execute all of them simultaneously. And then it'll resolve when all of them are done. But I don't want to do that. I only want to do one at a time. And so this is one way of doing it. Let it be known, there are other ways of doing this. And you probably could just do a for await of, or like an async. Yeah, you also could just do a for loop. You absolutely could just do a for loop. But it's working. It hasn't thrown any exceptions yet, so that's awesome. And if we look in the data folder, yeah, we're slowly getting all of the expansions as cards, as JSON files. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's working. What are the other ways? I'll show you them. Here we are. So, if you wanted to write this in a more sane way, you could await inside of just a for loop. But I think I actually don't have access to top level await in node.js, so you'd have to put this inside of a function like get all cards. And this is an async method. And then you could just write a regular plain old for loop. So you could do for I equals 0, I is less than expansions.length. And then we get the specific expansion. And then we can await inside of here. I mean, basically all four of these lines could go right here, like that. And this will work the same way. The only issue is like my linter is like first of all, my linter wants me to do this instead, but also my linter is unexpected await inside of a loop, because most often you actually most often you actually don't want to await inside of a loop, because this is blocking for the next iteration of the loop. And Rafalu, thanks for that resub. Not blocking, but it will actually wait until I increments, right? So when I is 0, this code runs, we'll wait for it to finish, and then I increments to 1, etc. This code is probably a lot easier to follow than this one. But my linter just says, in general, you don't want to do this. But in this case, I actually do, because I really do want to wait for each one to execute. The interesting thing to note is that this would not work. So if I did expansions.forEach, expansion, and then I tried to do something like this, where I wait 2 seconds and then make the request. Because for each, and I mean, this could be an async method, but for each basically just executes like immediately. Like it's going to call this function for every single expansion, and now these are all of these promises are just going to all be fired off at the same time. Even though I have the await keywords in here, it's still going to just fire them all off at the same time, which is why you wouldn't use a for each. And then you wouldn't use a words are hard. Do we have a command for that? This will do all at the same time. Yeah, so we don't want to do this. And then the other way you might have thought of is if you were to do a promise.all. But a promise so we would map. So we would map each of these expansions to return a promise. And now that we have an array of promises, we could await promise.all. But this, again, will do all of them at the same time. Because it just fires them all off in the background, and then when all of them are done, it will resolve, which we don't want, because we want to be. I guess I didn't mention this, but the reason we're doing this is we want to be nice scrapers. We don't want to spam their server with hundreds and hundreds of requests, so we're only sending one request every 2 seconds. Which prevents us from getting blocked or rate limited, and prevents putting too much load on their server. Yeah. Oh yeah, we could do for, yeah, so the other way of doing it, so you could do it a for loop. So I'll just put this will do the same thing as above. But the other one you could do a for async something like how would it work? So it's for, this might not work because if we want to have multiple things here, but for I have to look up the syntax of expansions. Technically, though, this would work the same way. This should work. Yeah. A noble scraper. Yeah, and you should, if you're going to be scraping, you should be a noble scraper too. How many expansions are out there? We're going all the way back to the year like 2013 or so. And there are quite a few. Like I mentioned, a new expansion is released every month or two. We can look at the list. Yeah, so it goes all the way back to September 2010. Yeah, but let's look up the async iterable. So for await, though I don't know if that applies in this situation because we're actually doing the async code inside of the loop. We're going to go to MDN. We're going to search for async iterable. We've done it before. Why the 2-second wait instead of waiting for the response itself and then doing the next? Because I want to wait for the response and wait 2 seconds, because the response could take 2 seconds or more. So basically, I'm awaiting this. So this, well, let's look at it here. So I'm awaiting this. This will wait for the response to be done. But also, I'm waiting 2 seconds after that. But technically, if you didn't wait the 2 seconds, you still wouldn't be spamming them with requests. You'd just be sending them one request after each request finishes. But yeah, we're scraping Japanese Pokemon cards. How do we find async iterable? For await of. Okay, for await of statement creates a looping iterating over async iterable objects as well as on sync iterables. So for await of, yeah, the thing is, our iterable here is actually just an array. So I think this is actually how we would do it. Just a regular plain old for of loop. And then the code goes inside of here. Yeah, so I'll give a, so I'm going to end the stream now. I appreciate, thank you for the raid. Thanks for all the supports today. Ton of support. I appreciate you all. And thanks to Visual Studio for that raid. Thanks for coming in, friends. But yeah, let me review what we did, what we're going to be doing, because there's more code to write. That's Nessa. I don't know what that is. There's more code to write, but I'll review what we've done so far and what it's going to be useful for. That's Celebi. That's Weedle. Okay, my friends. Basically, what we're doing right now is we're assembling mini datas. So we, yes, a few days ago, I guess Friday, we wrote some code that, oh, it's done. It's done. Or should be. It's really close to finishing. Somehow, there's an expansion with no name. I don't know how we messed that up. But if we look for our names... Yeah, Pokemons.json. So our first scraping task was to create a list of all English Pokemon names and their corresponding Japanese katakana. And the idea is we want to make it really easy for English speakers to search for Japanese Pokemon cards and prices of Japanese Pokemon cards. Because if you were to go to a site like Card Rush, which is a Japanese website that sells Japanese Pokemon cards, if you search for Charizard, you're not going to get anything back because this is a Japanese website. So you actually have to search for Lizardon, like this. And if you search for this, you will get back some results. So the first step was just getting this data to create the map of English names to Japanese names. The next thing we're doing is building up a database of all of the Japanese sets and expansions. So that way, when we build a website, you can search for a card. We will show you, like you can search for a card name like Charizard. We'll show you all of the Charizard cards and from all of the sets and expansions. So if you're not familiar with Pokemon cards, they are grouped into sets. So each of these sets includes a certain number of cards. The Pokemon repeat across them. Why is that not Charizard results? Because some of these are like fire energy. These might be like trainers that are with Charizard. I have no idea, but these cards down here are definitely Charizard. Oh yeah, oh no, yeah, Lizardon doesn't work. I tried that too. Lizardon. Though Pikachu does work, but not for cards. There's like these. So that's going to help with that. And what we just did today was we, for every single expansion, we are scraping all of the cards in that expansion, including the name and the number. And that scraper's done. Scraper is done, so that's awesome. Somehow some of them are 0 cards. We'll figure that out. But now we have all of this data, right? So for the set CS1, we have all of the cards and the images for the cards in that set. Pikachu? So this is the scraping we just did. We have all of the cards. The next thing we're going to do, probably the next stream, is put all of this into a database, make it searchable, and then start to build a website around it. So, for example, you can search for Bulbasaur. We'll figure out the Japanese translation. We will then search our database for anything that has that Japanese translation, list out all the cards, and then for any given card, you can click on it, and then we'll do further web scraping to pull the prices of those cards from various websites. We're going to start with Card Rush. And so, like, when you click a card, like this one, which comes from, I think this is in Shocking Volt Tackle. When you search for a card, we'll pull this price. So it's 220 Japanese yen. And then we'll also show currency conversion rates as well. Okay, I have to go. I'm already late for my work meeting. You all are awesome. Thanks for the raids. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for all the questions. Next stream is planned for Friday. We might take a break from this and just do something else on Friday, but we'll do that. Yeah, click that to get the raid messages. And just know that I appreciate you. And I don't know. Yeah, this will go to YouTube like a month from now. I don't know. I'm about a month behind on uploading YouTube videos. But if you check out my YouTube, all of my past live streams go up there as well. Okay, I don't know who we're going to raid, but whoever we raid, show them lots of love. Drop a follow if you like what they're doing. And wherever you are in the world, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And until next time, here's this.